You're on TV? You're on TV? Hello and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel, live from my bedroom, because I'm that professional. I'm going to be posting new videos each week all about my art as well as the art world, introducing you to new artists, shows and exhibitions, and discussing any questions you might have about what it's like to be an artist. Now this week I have a brand new painting to show you. It's the largest painting I've ever done and it's in a slightly new style. I've tried to do this painting a number of times over the last 10 years and I've failed each time. So I'm very excited for you to see it today. But before I do show you, I want to tell you a little story about how this painting came to be. 10 years ago, I went to an exhibition that changed my life. It was by an artist called Andrew Salgado, who at the time was painting large, highly textured, highly emotive male portraits. They were chaotic and broken and completely captivating. I could stand in front of them for hours just lost in them. It was then that I decided that this is what I want to do. I thought to myself, there's no way I could paint like this, but if I spent the next 10 years working hard and painting every day, maybe I could paint something a fraction as good as this. So I quit my job and I went and moved in with my parents and spent the next 2 months painting every day. From that, I had a small collection of paintings and luckily I managed to get signed by a publisher in the UK. 3 years go by and I'd been living successfully as an artist full time. However, over that time, I'd strayed away from what originally inspired me. Due to pressure from my publisher, I was just mass producing the same work over and over again. I'd stopped being creative. I wasn't making work that I was passionate about. In 2018, I got married and I decided then that I was going to leave the publisher so that I could have more creative control over what I was painting. But it was at this point that things started to go wrong. Although I'd left the publisher to have more creative control, I ended up just producing more of the same work, as I was worried that painting something else might not sell. At the same time, the market was slowing and my work wasn't selling, nor was I inspired by what I was painting. I was in debt and I was increasingly becoming focused on trying to sell paintings rather than creating paintings. I became too scared to take risks with my work in case I made a mistake. Through it all, I was just becoming increasingly stressed and anxious. I was waking up every day terrified that a painting would go wrong and all that time would be wasted. I couldn't afford for that to happen. I couldn't afford to make mistakes. I remember at one point I thought a painting had gone wrong and I was so stressed that I suddenly found myself not being able to breathe and I had a panic attack in my studio, which I'd never had before, and I ended up just sitting on the floor calling Katie in tears. It was a horrible, horrible time. I had clients commissioning work and buying paintings and at the last minute, once I'd sent them the invoice, just disappearing. And suddenly thousands of pounds I thought I had coming in wasn't there. It just felt like no luck was going my way. For the first time, I thought about giving up and quitting entirely. At the same time, I had this thing growing in the back of my head, this sort of artistic notion. It was an appreciation for the broken and imperfect environment around me and how that related to the human experience. It was this urban visual, a sort of strange cacophony of ripped posters and graffiti, flakes of paint and rust, and stickers and torn posters. It had that same chaotic energy that I'd first seen in those portraits years beforehand. It wasn't organised, but it told a story, an imperfect story. At the same time, it had fun elements in it, quirky little messages that you'd walk past and not notice, or little smiley faces that are looking up at you from the pavement. This visual that was around me seemed to relate to life, that the hard and uncomfortable, tortuous times give colour and beauty to our lives. Especially in Camden, where my studio is, where there's so much homelessness, this urban visual identity seemed to tell a story of their lives. I wanted to bring this narrative into my paintings, into my portraits, to use it to fuel my work, but at the time I was too afraid and too anxious to push myself. I was too afraid to take risks. I was just concerned about making sure I could sell the paintings I had so that I had enough money to pay the bills for the next month. So 2019 was crap, but I realized halfway through that if I was going to go down, I needed to go down at least painting something I was proud of. I went back to my roots. I tried to find what had originally given me passion. I changed the subject matter of my works, and I went back to the style that I'd done years before. And it worked. I dug in and worked really hard. Slowly my luck did change. I had sales come in, I managed to get control of my debt and get things back on track. By the beginning of 2020, I had new galleries on board, I had exciting art fairs planned, and there was talk of a solo show on the horizon. I finally felt like I could breathe a sigh of relief. However, 2020, coronavirus, and my wife and I had a baby. Lockdown happened and my studio was shut down for 4 months. It was the longest I'd gone without painting in almost a decade. And to be honest, it was a huge relief. For the first time, I was able to stop and reflect and recharge my creativity. For the best part of a decade, I'd gone from month to month, week to week and day to day, trying to get my paintings finished and sold. Somewhere along the line, I'd lost the joy in creating and had just started painting. I realised it had been almost 10 years since I'd been to that exhibition and wondered what I could paint in 10 years' time. The sad bit wasn't that I wasn't close, it was that I'd stopped trying. I realised that when I got back into the studio, things needed to change. I needed to throw away my old technique, my old style, my old routines and habits. I wanted to challenge myself once again and create something with soul and meaning. To embrace that artistic thing that had been in the back of my head, that imperfect urban visual that so neatly expresses the beauty of human hardship. It was at this point that I started this painting, the painting that this whole video is about. I wanted to bring it all together, my own story of perseverance, of failure and success, but also that which others go through. And so one day on my way to the studio, I saw a guy who was living on the streets and looked like it could have been one of my friends. So I went over and had a chat with him, brought him some food and talked about his story. After a while, I asked him how long he'd been living on the streets for, and he said to me, 10 years. And those words really hit me. I'd been so caught up in my own journey over the last 10 years that it was humbling to be reminded that actually, at even the lowest points, there was no risk of me really losing everything. As bad as things got, there was still a lot around me to support me. That's not to ignore how stressful and hard those times were, more just that everyone out there is going through their hard times, their highs and lows. And so this painting is about all of that. It's about the last 10 years for me, the high points and the low points and the struggles in between, and it's for anyone else that's going through hard times right now. So I hope you like it. It's a big one for me. Be sure to write what you think in the comments below. Enjoy. Hi guys, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, why not give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel? I'd hugely appreciate it. Talking of things I hugely appreciate, I want to thank Katie, my beautiful wife, for helping me organise my thoughts and getting some sort of sense out of them for this video. Katie, how can I show my appreciation?
How about 10% off art supplies?
No problemo. Just go down to the description and you'll find a link below to Jackson's Art Supplies. You'll be able to get 10% off your first order.
Wow.
Anything else?
What about limited edition prints?
Well, you can find all my limited edition prints in the link to my website in the description below, and you'll be able to find out information on all my original artworks, including the one in today's video.
Okay.
Okay.